Good morning. Today is Monday, February 2nd, believe it or not, 2026. This is the Urban Hope Refuge Morning Devotions. We are continuing our reading today from the 2026 Daily Bible Reading Guide published by the American Bible Society. For the month of February, we are reading under the theme God's surprising word, faith active in love. Today, we're reading Philippians chapter 1, verses 12 through 30 in the New Living Translation. Philippians chapter 1, verses 12 through 30 is Paul writing from prison. Yet, the tone is shockingly joyful, hopeful, and mission-minded. This is why it fits so beautifully under our theme, God's surprising word, faith, active in love. What we expect to hear from a man in chains, as Paul was, is discouragement. But what we hear instead is faith that is alive, loving, and focused on Christ's purpose. Verse 12. And I want you to know, my dear brothers and sisters, that everything has happened to me here has happened to spread the good news. For everyone here, including the whole palace guard, knows that I am in chains because of Christ. And because of my imprisonment, most of the believers have gained confidence and boldly speak God's message without fear. It's true that some are preaching out of jealousy and rivalry, but others preach about Christ with pure motives. They preach because they love me, for they know I have been appointed to defend the good news. Those who do not have true motives as they preach, those others do not have pure motives as they preach about Christ. They preach with selfish ambition, not sincerely, intending to make my chains more painful for me. But that doesn't matter. Whether their motives are foolish or genuine, the message about Christ is being preached either way. So I rejoice, and I will continue to rejoice. For I know that as you pray for me and the Spirit of Jesus helps me, this will lead to my deliverance. For I fully expect and hope that I will never be ashamed, but that I will continue to be bold for Christ, as I have been in the past. And I trust that my life will bring honor to Christ, whether I live or die. For to me, living means living for Christ, and dying is even better. But if I live, I can do more fruitful work for Christ. So I really don't know which is better. I'm torn between two desires. I long to go and be with Christ, which would be far better for me. But for your sakes, it is better that I continue to live. Knowing this, I am convinced that I will remain alive so I can continue to help all of you grow and experience the joy of your faith. And when I come to you again, you will have even more reason to take pride in Christ Jesus because of what he is doing through me. Above all, you must live as citizens of heaven, conducting yourselves in a manner worthy of the good news about Christ. Then, whether I come and see you again or only hear about you, I will know that you are standing together with one spirit and one purpose, fighting together for the faith, which is the good news. Don't be intimidated in any way by your enemies. This will be a sign to them that they are going to be destroyed, but that you are going to be saved even by God Himself. For you have been given not only the privilege of trusting in Christ, but also the privilege of suffering for Him. I want to read verse 29 again. For you have been given not only the privilege of trusting in Christ, but also the privilege of suffering for Him. We are in this struggle together. You have seen my struggle in the past, and you know that I am still in the midst of it. This concludes our reading for today of Philippians chapter 1, verses 12 through 30 in the New Living Translation. Now, Paul, looking at the context again, Paul is under house arrest in Rome. He is chained to Roman gods, awaiting a trial that could end in his death. The Philippian church is worried about him. Instead of asking for their sympathy, Paul reframes the situation as God advancing the gospel. So, regarding our theme, surprising God's surprising word, faith active in love, this is the surprise. What looks like a setback is actually spiritual progress. So in verses 12 through 14, Paul says his imprisonment has actually, number one, advanced the gospel, number two, made Christ known to the entire palace guard in Rome, and it has encouraged other believers to preach more boldly. Faith active in love. That's what the Apostle Paul is showing, because he is not focusing on himself. He is focusing on how others are strengthened. In verses 15 through 18, he said, some preach Christ sincerely. Others preach from jealousy and rivalry, hoping to hurt Paul. But this is Paul's shocking response. He said, Christ is preached, period. And in this I rejoice. So seeing faith active in love, it refuses to be distracted by petty motives when Christ is still being lifted. You see the character and the spirit of Paul. In verses 19 through 26, Paul wrestles with life and death. Death would mean being with Christ. That's his gain. Life means continuing to serve others. That's love. He chooses joyfully to remain because the church needs him, although he's suffering. That is faith, active in love. For me to live is Christ, and to die is gain. Now, what we see here in Paul, the Apostle Paul, we see mature faith, living not for self-preservation, but for kingdom purpose. Urban Hope, there's that word again, purpose, as our theme, church theme for 2026 is assigned and blessed, walking in purpose, in power, and in provision. So as we can see in verses 27 through 30, Paul shifts from himself to them. He tells them, and this is good for us even today, he tells them, stand firm in one spirit. Do not be frightened by opposition, and suffering for Christ is part of the calling. It's part of the assignment. He reframes suffering as evidence of belonging to Christ, not being abandoned by him. And oh boy, my time is so short. I wanted to look at these themes that Apostle Paul and what he shows. He talks about suffering. What he's showing is that prison became his pulpit. And the surprising truth is that God uses hard places for holy purposes. Suffering, he uses it for hard places for purposes. Then Paul told them about opposition, those jealous preachers. But listen, the Apostle Paul said God's work continues anyway, regardless to what the opposition is. Then he said there's life and death. But he makes a strong point. Both life and death serve Christ. And he shows them that nothing can rob the believer of purpose, the purpose that God has assigned or ordained. Then he said unity. He said stand firm together. And that's so important for us today. And it shows us that opposition confirms the calling that God has placed on our lives. 1 minute left. Listen, what can we learn from this? We can learn that our situation does not limit God's assignment. No matter what situation we're in, if God assigned us, it does not limit God's assignment. We can also learn that what looks like delay may be divine strategy. We can also learn that faith is not proven when life is easy, but when life remains active in hardship. We are enduring something every day that we have no control over, hardship. And we can also learn that not everyone serving alongside us will have pure motives. But we need to keep our eyes on Christ. And listen, suffering For Christ is not strange, it's sacred. We want to, as I close, ask ourselves, am I allowing my circumstances to silence my witness? Can others see Christ through how I handle difficulty? Do I rejoice when Christ is lifted, even if I'm not? And am I standing firm? Am I standing firm on what I know my God to be? It appears to me that I have some problems over here, but I've said everything that I came here to say this morning, except pray your way through the day, walk with the King, and be a blessing.